Oh, hello, Liz Wilcox here. Welcome to TVC Live. I have a guest this week. I'm not just teasing you and going live and then saying, actually, psych, see you next week. I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about travel budgeting with Melissa from the Penny Pinching Globetrotter. I've been following her probably a couple years now, and just recently we started talking online, and it's just been so amazing to see her journey through her Facebook page, sharing tips, and seeing her literally globetrot while pinching pennies, because I am so the opposite and I could take a couple pages out of her book. So I'm really excited for that tonight. Hey everybody. Hey Dee. Dee, I'm sorry I didn't hang up your picture yet. You guys, Dee got me a picture, and she sent it to me in the mail. I put it right here. I haven't hung it up, Dee. I'm sorry. But it's really pretty, and she said she had a surprise for me, and she said she saw it and she kept thinking of me, so she sent it. It says, "Enjoy the journey," and it's in this really pretty diamond painting, I think it's called. The lady at the office had seen. I've never even seen anything like this before, so I haven't hung it up yet, Dee. I'm pretty lazy. My husband made me a frame for a couch 2 years ago, and I haven't made the couch yet. But one day, maybe this will make it to my wall. I love it, though. Thank you, Dee. Awesome. Mike is here. He says, I made it on time. Dee, yes, we see you chatting. Mountain Dreams, hi from Soggy, Tampa Bay. I am also in Tampa Bay, and it is terrible right now with the rain and the traffic today. I had a pond out in my yard for the last 3 weeks because it's been raining so hard, guys. And today the manager made a joke about it because it's the first time you've been able to see the road in over a week. And I was less than pleased by the joke. But he did say that they were going to put a drain right in front of our site because they literally put us in the worst spot. I've been driving up to the office because I literally can't walk because there's so much there's so many ducks here that I don't want to walk through the stagnant duck poop water. Anyway, welcome. If you're catching the replay, make sure you put in the comments, hashtag replay, something like that. I'm super excited. Like I said, I'm trying to think. There's one update I do want to give you guys. Next month, I will be traveling. I'm really excited. I'm going from Tampa to Nashville, Nashville to Detroit, and then I'm going to Niagara Falls through Canada. So if you're in any of those areas, let me know in the comments. Shoot me an email, liz@thevirtualcampground.com. I'd love to meet up. I'm going to be on that journey. It's probably going to be about a 4-week journey. I'll be driving in my car with my kid, like I do, because I can't sit still. And Ed needs a place to stay while he's in school, so I can't bring the RV. But if you're in those areas, I would love to meet up, and that starts the first week of September, so I'll be leaving in about 10 days or so. Anyway, let's bring on Melissa. Like I said, she is a travel budget extraordinaire. I am so impressed by her, and I can't wait to ask her some questions. How you doing, Melissa? Welcome.
Good. Hi. Thanks for having me.
I love your quilt.
Yes, thank you. I took that. I've been watching you, so I took your idea and copied it.
Yeah,
for my background.
She told me that, guys, and I said, well, that's just me being lazy and not tucking it in. But it makes my mother-in-law made this quilt, and sometimes she watches the show, so it makes her happy to see it. So I get brownie points from my mother-in-law, which is always good.
A woman that I worked with made this for us because when I was trying to decide how to decorate our RV, I kept looking at different colors, and she was making this quilt, and it's called Melissa's Colors.
Oh,
because
really?
as she was making it, she didn't know who she was making it for, and then she decided it was for me.
That's awesome. Mike is such a gentleman. He says, hello, Melissa. Thank you for being here with us.
Hi, Mike.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and your RV story to start off.
Okay. I'm almost 50, so I'm kind of a middle-age RVer, and I travel with my husband and 2 cats, and we have been traveling for about 2 years. We have a home in Tennessee. What happened is I got leukemia, And when I was sick from chemo on the couch, I was like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What is it that I want to do? And it wasn't go to work. I had a career as a director of a nonprofit organization, and I didn't want to just keep working and working to pay for a house and pay for things and hope for my 2 weeks off to go on a trip. So I thought, I want to travel more, and how can we do that? So, of course, thanks to blogs and YouTube, I found Gone with the Winds, who are now on a boat, but, we're in RV, and I found some other people, and I was like, oh, maybe the RV is the way that we could see the world, on a budget. So we started researching, and here we are. We saved for 2 years. We paid cash for our RV, and here we sit. We're starting our 3rd year this month.
Wow, that's incredible. We started RVing, it'll be 3 years on like September 3rd or something like that. But we didn't start traveling for another year. We moved into our RV first. But I love that you were able to save. And I love you said something in a recent blog post about you worked for this nonprofit and how that helped you kind of be able to save and live for this lifestyle. So what did you say exactly? I can't remember.
Well, I was a single mother, and I worked at a nonprofit. So those two things, don't equate usually having lots of money. So I kind of just learned how to be frugal. And so when it came time to be a penny pincher, it was like I kind of had professional training on the job at a nonprofit. There's not a lot of money. You're trying to raise the money. You're trying to figure out. You're always trying to hustle. And I feel that's kind of a lot what I do now, is hustle. So yeah, I just feel like I kind of like my job in a way prepared me to be strict on a budget and, watching every penny. So I've just taken all those skills and put them, I don't know, people may not believe this, but, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. It's all working out the way it's supposed to somehow.
Right. Yeah. I read a book one time that it was talking about, how to find your calling in life and such. And he says, everything that has happened before leads you up to this point to make you prepared for it. And he also, I was going to mention him, he also worked at a nonprofit before he went out and started like an online venture. And he said, yeah, there's nothing, you really learn how to budget and like learn the value of a dollar when you have to raise your salary.
Yes.
And so I thought about that when I learned you worked for a nonprofit, because I can't imagine the intensity of it sometimes.
I miss it in some ways. And I think that's why I've started our website, because I have lacked a little bit of purpose. For a while, when we first got on the road, it was nice for that kind of freedom, and I can get up when I want to, and I don't have to do anything. I don't have any responsibility. But I feel like after about a year and a half, I started feeling what I decided was a lack of purpose. And so I needed something to put my energy in and my creative outlet and something to focus on. So I didn't really think that I wanted to work, but now I'm kind of creating a job for myself.
I love that.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think it's awesome, and I think that happens to a lot of people with RVing. This is a little off topic, but if you've watched the show once or twice, we know we do that. I feel that a lot of people, they hit the road, maybe they're not working as much or at all, and after a while it hits them, that they do feel lost, right? The wandering around, not having anyone to be accountable to, all that freedom can also be just as paralyzing. And that was something that my husband dealt with. He was in the military, everything is XYZ, you wear these socks, you wear these shoes. To RV life, it was, kind of blew his mind. And so that's one of the reasons we slowed down, so he could find his purpose, right. And explore different options. And I love that, what you chose with the Penny Pinching Globetrotter is so, I feel like so many people, they want to get out there, but they see, Gone with the Winds, things like that. It just seems so impractical for them. Because they're not working remotely, they can't take their job on the road. They don't have a good savings, things like that. And even for Ed and I, we hit the road. Ed had some VA disability. we had some in savings, but we weren't being very smart with our money. We weren't penny pinching. We were just going somewhere, paying what we paid, no research. And I love what you're doing because I know, you clearly have the skills, and I love that you're sharing them. So tell us, how much exactly do you live off a month on average?
Well, I budget $1,400 a month, and that includes all of our expenses, our travel. It also includes money for us to go overseas at least 2 or 3 times a year. So we'll hopefully at least 6 to 8 weeks out of the year we'll be somewhere. Like we're going to Morocco soon and Germany next spring. So $1,400 a month is what I budget. But it kind of depends. I've been able to get it for low as like $850 if we're parked in a friend's driveway, not going anywhere. But when we're moving, it's closer to like $1,200. This trip that we're on right now, we're going from Tennessee up to like Calgary and Banff and then down the coast of Colorado. I've budgeted $5,000 just for gas. As you know, that's the biggest kicker is gas.
Right. So, and you have a Class C. What year is it?
It is a 97, the same year my daughter was born.
How near and dear.
22 years old.
Yeah, so you're going to be spending a lot on gas. We have a Class C. It's gutless. You hit the pedal. You're not going very far, but the gas tank is. So I definitely understand that. So what have been some more of, you're clearly on a budget, but life happens, RVing happens, your rig is 22 years old. What have been some more of the expensive curveballs, we'll call them, and how do you deal with those?
Well, I'll say, I read somewhere, or someone told me, it's not if, it's when you break down. And I think that if you go into it with that mindset, that it's going to happen to us sooner or later, so we need to be prepared. It's a little easier, it's like, okay, here's our turn. But we recently had 3 turns.
How many? You said 30?
3 turns.
Oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have lost count.
Incidences.
Okay, 3, guys.
The
3.
First time, 3, yes. The first time we were near the border of Mexico at the Cactus Pipe Canyon or something like that. I can't think of the name of it in Arizona. Oregon Pipe Park. And we broke down, and we didn't have a signal, and so we had to get our scooter off and ride to get a signal. This is where I learned the big lesson, one of the ones that I mentioned in the post I did for you on one of our fails. I didn't get roadside assistance. I don't know why. I just flaked on it. It's something I'll do, and I just didn't do it. We paid $900 just to tow our rig to a shop. And it, I was like, are you kidding me? So that was like a $3,000 expense.
Yeah, that's got to make your heart sink.
Yes. Well, we had like a brief moment, because this was maybe a year into our trip, and I was like, I'm not done. I don't know how much this is going to cost, but I'm not ready to go back. I guess I call it the real world, which Wade doesn't like that, because it's like, we're in the real world. But the world that I used to know of a 9-to-5 job and the grind, I guess. I was like, I'm not going back. I don't care what it costs. We're going to fix this. So we always try to keep at least $5,000 set aside for mechanical issues. If I don't have that, then I start getting really, nervous, because any day you could just, we're just driving down the road and the rig just dies. 2 times that's happened to us. So you never know when it's going to happen. So I really think it's important. You got to have savings. Even though we're penny pinchers, I don't, I have a cushion.
Right, yeah. Some people call it like a runway, if you have to have that repair. And that does cause a lot of anxiety when you don't have savings. When we hit the road, we had some savings. And then, things came up, things broke down. But we weren't doing anything to, put it back. And that's when things started getting stressful and things started getting real. And we had to have a sit down and say, okay, this is clearly not smart. We're a little older than this. We should know better. But, yeah, I think it's so important to have a runway. And that was something I had kept hearing. You've got to have a cushion. Things break down. And even with Ed being, mechanically inclined, and even after, he went to RV tech school, there are some things you just can't do. you know?
Right.
And, of course, like with our engine, you know, the RV tech school didn't cover the engine. Luckily, he already kind of knew, because we were broken down on the side of the road several times. And, you know, it's just been so lucky that he's known what to do, and we've gotten help from the community and things like that. But, you know, you just never know. If we would have broken down somewhere where he didn't have cell phone service, where he couldn't just look it up to make sure or whatever, then, you know, it would have cost us a lot more. Danella, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. She's asking, or he, I don't know. Dane Lady Driver. Hell, I don't know. How long did it take to get back on the road after you had that breakdown?
We spent about 5 nights in a hotel, and luckily I collect hotel points, so that didn't cost us anything, and I got to take a bath.
Oh my gosh, y'all. It was a blessing in disguise.
It kind of was. And it was also hot, so it was nice to be, you know, in the hotel, but we stayed at a hotel for 5 nights with our cats, and then they got us on the road. All the 3 times that we've had issues, they've always seemed to work with us as RVers, knowing our situation, that we're in the RV and we're not like a normal person, just wait around for weeks. So we've always found people to be helpful, and it's never taken that long. That was the longest, was the 5 days.
I love that. Yeah. I had Howard and Linda Payne on at, back in like February or something, and they said, you know, when things go bad, you know, and you're having to deal with people, you know, that are more in control than you, like, just being kind goes a long way. And I've always thought, like, I love that advice, because, you know, you could have been nasty to whoever's on the phone, whatever, but I feel like if you exude that kindness, it just comes right back to you, and things are handled so much more easily and quickly.
Definitely. And I think too, cancer change. I'm really a type A plus person, you know, real anal and kind of high strung and get her done. So it kind of helped calm me down. And it also kind of taught me I do a better job now only stressing about things I can control. So if the rig is broke down, I can't control that. There's nothing I can do. All I can do is just take a bubble bath and land at the pool. I mean, stressing is not really going to solve it. So I think that attitude kind of helps in RV life, because at least in my experience with us moving so much, there's always some kind of issue, like you go down the wrong road, or you're lost, or your black tank's about to overflow and you can't find a place to dump, or, you know, whatever it is. And the more that you can just kind of, I think, go with it, the more we go with the flow, I think the better time that we have and the less stressed we are, and just kind of know that it's not always easy, and it's just part of it. Life isn't easy. Living in your house isn't easy.
Right. That's so true. Even we're stationary, so we still deal with some RV issues, not as much as traveling down the road. But last night, I walked to the back. This has nothing to do with saving money, guys. Sorry. But everything to do with just staying flexible, and shit happens. So I walked to the back of the rig, and I looked at my husband, and I said, "Did you just fart?" And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I said, something is wrong. You need to go to the hospital. That smells really bad." And he's laughing, you know, because I mean, as much as people say, like, "Oh, Liz, the black tank girl," like, I personally cannot stand, like, in real life, like, I can't stand the smell of fart. Like, it, like, does something in my brain. Anyway, so I walked to the other side of the bedroom, and I'm like, "Are you sure that's not, like, the gray tank? I smell it," because we had just had our very first overflow in over 2 years the month before, and it's, you know, it was triggered. I was like, "That's the smell." And I said, I hope that shower's overflowing right now, because that is, if that came out of you, that is terrible. You have to sleep outside or something. And so I look, of course it's overflowing, because I went outside, I came back in, my daughter was washing her tiger, which meant she just had the water going and all the soap. There must have been so much soap in the tank that it overflowed, which I didn't even think about until it happened, which is probably what happened that a month ago. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, you've got to learn to just go with the flow. Things are
Yeah.
going to happen. Even when your RV isn't moving, it's not like a regular house, but it is still life and things happen. And, whether you want to spend the $900 on, something that could have been prevented, like it is what it is, let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're welcome for that story, everyone.
That's right.
But that does answer the question. I asked what are expensive curveballs and how do you navigate that? You just deal with it and do what you can where you can and have a runway, have some savings. So what are your biggest penny pinching tips? How do you live off $1,400 a month? Because I know our style is when we're traveling, we're spending $4,000 to $5,000 a month. So that's she just dropped dead on the call. I don't know why. So obviously we're living very differently than you. So how could I get, maybe if you're looking at my situation where I'm spending money on campgrounds, I'm going out to eat often, I'm not paying attention to gas prices, nothing like that. What would personal tips you would have for me or someone like that to get their costs down?
So you have so much room to save because you're doing nothing. So, wow. First thing I think that you said, and which I think is one of RVers' big expenses, is we do not pay to camp. Now, back that up. Last night we paid $8 in Kansas for water and electric hookup. It was 102 degrees and I just could not do it with a fan. But we don't ever hardly pay to camp. We use a lot of the apps, freecampsites.net and Boondocking and RV Parky. And we do a lot of camping out in the BLM land. We have solar panels out in the national forest. And we actually really like that better because there's not a lot of people around. Sometimes we like privacy, and there's always nature and animals. And so we don't do campgrounds. So we're not that experienced in campgrounds. Honestly, when we drive by a campground, we think, and I know a lot of people like it, and a lot of people, when it's 100 degrees, I know why people want air conditioner, but we think, I don't know if I'd like to be there because everybody seems kind of close together. And my idea is like that picture of the RV out in the middle of, nature. And so that's kind of more the lifestyle we lead. And so we're going to national parks, which once you buy American Beautiful Pass, it's free, or, state parks and hiking. And so we cut down a big expense. I bet the big part of your budget is camping. And when we don't pay that, that really, cuts our expense down. We do look for gas, there's a lot of apps that I use where you can try to find the cheapest gas. We try to fill up. So it becomes kind of work. It takes more time and effort to try to figure out where the cheap things are and where the cheap deals are. I'll buy something because it's on sale and stock up on meat when it's on sale. I always have a meal plan. So I'm thinking about all the money that we spend. We don't eat out that often, although we didn't realize we were on this foodie tour, but we stopped at some Anthony Bourdain 13 places you have to eat before you die barbecue joint.
Mm-hmm.
Wade found a $20 bill on the ground. And so we went out to eat.
That's really cool. That's a fun story.
So we don't eat out a lot. We cook a lot, and we do. So we're living kind of, I guess, minimalist. And, I talked a little bit about this too. And the other thing I wrote is sometimes I feel like we've missed out on some stuff. So this time out, we're trying to do more, go out to eat more at a special place like that. Not just like McDonald's because I'm too lazy to cook tonight, but, something that's has more meaning behind it when we do it, and trying to do a few more activities. We've kind of got to the point where we've got to figure out if we want to maintain this lifestyle, we need some more income, even though, we're saving money. So we've got to try to figure out another way to bring in some more income, unless we want to just go back to the real world that I don't want to go back to. So I'm super conscious of how much we spend, because then that's just that much less I have to make. So, we don't have regular jobs. Wade is a handyman, and so sometimes we go home and he'll get jobs handymaning. Or we had a friend that lived in Houston, let us park in our driveway, and then told all our friends he was in town, and so he got jobs, fixing stuff for them. So we can kind of make money on the road that way. And then I mystery shop. And we do these apps where you like go behind the Walmart and take pictures of the recycling bales and count how many they are and get paid like $5. It takes like 5 minutes. So we do. That's what
So
our
that's
penny
a
pinching
real
is.
thing.
That's
So
a real thing.
that's what someone was asking, like, what kind of apps do you use and things like that. So this is what I find the most fascinating about Melissa, guys, is her ability to use her cell phone and do these random acts and make money. Because I did, back before I started my website, I did a couple surveys and I get points and get some free stuff and such. And I kind of took a different approach to, where the less I spend, the less I have to make. For me, it was like, well, I'll just make more money and do whatever I want. But of course, making more money requires more time, less time to do things, more stress. I'm 31. I have a patch of gray hair. People think the bun is cute, but it really is just to cover up that gray hair. So, there's got to be, I feel like, a balance, and I think we're both kind of figuring that out. Like, I could scale back a little bit. You could scale your site a little bit to help others and help yourself. So, let's talk about, this app. So, Walmart, tell me again what you do.
Okay. There's 2 apps, and this is on our website, Penny Pinching Globetrotter. One's called Field Agent, and one's called Merchandiser. And I call them macro jobs. I'm sure that it used to be someone's full-time job to go around and do these tasks, but now they're kind of farming them out, for lack of a better word, to people through an app. So you just sign up and it looks at, your GPS location. So I could pull it up to see like what jobs might be near me. And it's all kind of crazy things. Like the other night, they paid me $5 to buy a Food Network kitchen meal kit and make it, and a Kraft pasta side, $3 for that, and reimbursed me for it. So I made $8 whole, and then I scanned it into some other apps that I had coupons with and got $9.61 in free dinner. So not a lot, but little things like that, like the Walmart. Like you go back behind the Walmart and you count the recycling bales. One time an employee came out and asked us what we were doing, and we felt like we were criminals. But other than that, it's been really simple. And you just take pictures and say like 31 recycling bales, and you make like $5. Oh, it's not much, but before you know it, like when we go into town, we are parking at the Walmart anyway.
Right.
Because we're camping there free for the night. And I'm usually going into the store. So I can go into the store and it might say, look for the big name brand potato chip display for the Super Bowl, and take a picture. And is it at the front of the door? So I think it's a lot of kind of things maybe a salesperson might have used to have done before. Like it's checking that the displays are there, or how many products are facing on the shelf. How many protein bars do you see on the aisle? It's all kind of weird, random stuff like that. But it pays anywhere from $3 for 5 minutes of work to like $25 for an hour of work. Like one job I saw recently was they wanted you to go into Walmart's and measure all their counters, like the layaway counter and the cashier counters, for the potential for them to put signs on them. And it paid $25 to go in there and measure the counters. Not a lot of money, but if you could go in 1 hour and knock out $25 when I'm asleep, if I can send Wade in to do it, in the morning, hey.
Even better. Yeah,
Right?
I mean, that's perfect for especially someone who's RVing, going to Walmart often.
Yes.
You're already in Walmart for an hour. You might have spent an extra 10 minutes with your measuring tape. And, I mean, it makes sense, like you said, kind of farming out those jobs. Because I always wondered, like, why is this a job? But that makes sense,
Right.
especially, like, me having my website. I visited some family today that are in town, and I told them that I pay someone to be on Pinterest for me and to run my Pinterest and make pins and, click on other all this stuff. And
Right.
they were, in awe. They're like, that's a job? You pay someone? And I said, well, I don't want to do it. My
Right.
time is more valuable, or, and so, yeah, I farm it out, right? And I do that with a lot of little itty-bitty tasks that you don't even think are tasks, but that makes a lot of sense. And I was just thinking of, you said, it's just $5 here, $10 there. But for me, I equate it, because Ed and I just redid our budget, and we went through and we wrote down all the little $5 here, $10 here, where we're spending at those places. We're going to the gas station. We're going to Walmart. If you could flip that switch and make $5, $10, the same amount it takes to go into the store and buy it, if you're going into the store and doing that task, I think that's awesome.
I mean, it was a real mind shift. Like, I made decent money before, together we weren't rich, but we could go on vacation and we could go out to eat, and we never really had to think about how we spent our money, even though I was frugal. If you're just like, let's go out to eat tonight. Okay. So we really had to kind of switch our mindset. And it's, again, like I said, because I don't really want to work full time. So I want to just drive around in my RV and look at stuff. So I'm trying to work as little as possible.
Right.
So again, we just try to not spend lots of money. And so we can I can go into Walmart and do a few of those $5 jobs and walk out with $25, and then go down the road. We've been paying, $20 once to rate mystery shopping, $20 and a free meal at like McAllister's Deli for two. So you're not getting tons, but I got free dinner and I got $20. So then before you know it, at the end of the month, we have an extra $400 or $500. And when I only need $1,400, that's like a third of our income. I'm making, from taking pictures of recycling bales, $5 at a time.
Right.
Now, I know there's better ways to make money and easier ways, but, and make more and not penny pinch. But, if I don't want to do anything, I don't have to. No one's waiting for a deadline for me to, turn a post in or, whatever. I can just work when I want to if I don't want to. And, I don't have to talk to anybody if I don't want to. It's just perfect for kind of the freedom of, kind of goes with RV life a little bit. The freedom of getting to work when you want to.
That's what I was thinking when you said nobody's asking you for a deadline, etc. That's funny you said that. I used to work part-time for another blogger doing customer service, and the contract basically ended, and so I've been enjoying these 3 weeks of freedom, like not realizing how much stress that was putting on me. And I go back to work for him tomorrow, just temporarily while someone's out of town. And I immediately was like, man, I'd rather make money doing something else that's on my terms. The job is very simple, but just the mental load of it. And so I love what you said, I don't want to work forever because, that was me. I'll just make more money while I have to work a lot more to do that. So I love that. Someone's asking, Kathy says, Melissa, how much a month on average are you making doing this type of thing?
I would say with what I'll call a half-ass effort, $200 or $300 a month.
Commendable. And
what I mean by that is that I'm not like, okay, it's Monday, we got to go to work. Let me line up 7 recycling bales and, crack out my $100. I'm just more like, oh, we seem to have a few minutes right now, and I feel like I'll take a few. I'm all right with working for an hour here. Let me see what job is available. So I'm not treating it like, I think someone could probably do it, up to 30 hours, 25 hours a week and make enough to live on our budget of $1,400, but I just don't put that much effort in it. It's kind of, like I said, we could if I was desperate for more money, I guess. But the way I do it's like $200 or $300 a month.
That's awesome. So do you do anything else to make money?
Yeah.
She's like, thank you for asking.
There's a company called Appen, Appen. You do have to have a bachelor's degree to get in with them, but once you get in, it's kind of like get a job with the company. You have to do a resume. It's not just like anybody who downloads an app and wants to go to Walmart. This is a little more like a job. And then once you get into their system, it lists all the different types of jobs that they have. And they pay anywhere from $9. I've seen up to $20 now, especially if someone's a linguistic person. They're looking for linguistic people. They do a lot of, from what I can gather, stuff with computer technology. So the job that I had, I'm not allowed to talk too much about it, was one of the lower paying jobs, and it was rating social media ads on a social media platform. Like ads would pop up and you'd be like, is this too spammy? Is this too political? Is this too whatever? And it was monotonous and kind of boring. Because I get bored easily, I guess. But, It would take me maybe 45 minutes and I would get paid less than $10. And you did it once a day. So that was, that's a few $100s more. That project's over. But there's other projects you can sign up. Like they have some that pay like $12 an hour that are 20 hours a week. So it tells you, how many hours you're going to work and how long the contract is. So you're like a contract employee. And I think the last time I looked, there was like 12 different kinds of jobs. So it really is kind of, if you got the bachelor's degree, and when I was doing the social media ads, I did it on my phone, a phone. See, I don't even hardly use the computer. So when I was doing my most money with that was another like $300 a month for like an hour's worth of work every 5 days or something like that. So it wasn't that much.
That's really awesome.
Saving. I use a lot of apps to save money. A lot of apps to save money on gas and save money on groceries. Mystery shopping is another way that you can make money. And I have an article about that. That's a kind of harder to talk about going into because there are scams out there. So, you kind of want to be aware. But a lot of the big box stores, like I don't know if you've heard of O'Charlie's, big chains, things like that, Longhorn Steakhouse, a lot of the big chains, JCPenney's will pay you to come in and literally shop their customers or shop their staff. And it is a job. I mean, you're having to time it and write down notes. And, she had blue hair and glasses and was 23 years old and 5'7". So it's really detailed. But, you can make like about $25 an hour on average. But, you're only working like 2 or 3 hours at a time. So all these little things we've kind of just pieced together. And then with our savings, and Wade's handyman, we did work one summer, last summer in the Grand Tetons National Park. And that really helped fill the coffers a little bit. We managed the Jenny Lake store in the Grand Teton National Park last summer, and that was a lot of fun. And that's kind of work camping, I guess. And so that gave us some money. But that's really the only real job that we've had in 2 years.
Right. And I love that work camping is such a viable option for, if you do have that $2,000 repair, you can get that work camping job, stay still for a little bit, build that back up. I think that's so, it's such a viable option for so many people that they might not even realize. I know when we, at our, I guess, lowest or most frenzied point, we didn't even think about work camping. And I mean, it seems silly because I have this website. I recommend these things, but when you're in the moment, it can be really hard to think of all the options other than, oh crap, what do we do now? Kathy's asking, I know you said them, but can you tell us the apps you're using to save money? Or did you mention those?
The save ones, yeah. I use apps called Ibotta and Fetch, Receipt Hog, Receipt Pal, Coin Out. If they want to go to my website, Penny Pinching Globetrotter, there's a page called Ways to Save Money, and it tells all about the ones that I use. There's a lot of apps out there, and I've tried some of them, and they're just a waste of time, in my opinion. I'm not going to do something, 5 minutes a day every day for 5 months for 10 cents. I will scan a receipt for 10 cents. So there's a lot, that I use, and I list them all. There's about 12 that I use, and I'm constantly testing new ones. I don't recommend them to anybody until after I've used them and I've actually earned and received the reward. Because I don't tell anybody about something if I don't know for sure that I've gotten paid for it and then it's worked. So all of them there are legit ones that I really make money with. I really am practicing what I'm preaching.
Yeah, I've heard Ibotta is great.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was that app, but back before I had my site, I would do these types of things. And I remember scanning my receipt. Oh, I think it was... I did. One time I got selected for the Nielsen ratings. Actually, it was like 2 times in a year. They kept reaching back out. The more you do, the more they reach out. I made something like $700 that year from just, I filled out a survey and then they sent me something else. And then they ended up sending me like a scanner to scan my receipts and all this other stuff. And, that's when I realized... wow, I can make money by myself doing, things I want to do, and versus, working for the man in the real world.
Well, this will sound crazy, but I kind of equate it. This women will relate to this. It's kind of like if we have a little purse, we fill it with a whole bunch of stuff, and if we have a giant purse, we fill it with a whole bunch of stuff. I kind of find in a way that, like, as a metaphor, maybe our income or our life is that same way. Like, if you don't have a lot of money, you still learn how to. I'm happy. My friend calls it, we're self-selected poor. I'm happier now than when I had, 6, 7 times as much money. So your life just fills up with whatever you have, whether it's your big purse or your big budget or your little budget. You just fill in with what you have. So if you don't have a big budget, you just learn how to live on a little one.
Yeah, and that's the same. That's like RVing, right? Some people have giant rigs, and
Yes.
we lived in a big fifth wheel, and we downsized to this. And even my husband, he's 6'5", varies about 250 pounds. He's a big dude. He's not jumping up and down in this thing, but we were, sometimes we check in, like, are you still happy in this rig? Do you want to get a house? Do you want to get a bigger RV? And he said, this works. It works. I'm comfortable.
Yes.
Sometimes it sucks on a rainy day, or when the kid won't go to sleep and you just want to get up and get a snack, but you have to be quiet. But other than that, yeah, it works. You fill the space you have. I know Less Junk, More Journey, they're a huge RV family. They've had, I think they just bought their 5th RV, and each one suits, they're happy with that one when they're in that one. And then something comes along, they need something else, I know they wanted to have a baby in their Airstream. It turned out it didn't work or whatever. They wanted something bigger. And so now they're expanding, and I'm sure they're going to buy more stuff for that RV than they had in the Airstream. So I love that. That's the same with your budget. Yeah, you make it work with what you have, for sure.
Yes.
Awesome. Kathy says thank you. Belinda says great advice. Thank you. So tell us real quick, you mentioned going to Morocco and Germany. How are you doing that? Is there anything else, like, to save money or, travel hacking for international? Because I have never been out of the country except to Canada, and it's a big dream of mine, but I don't know if it's a mental hurdle or an actual hurdle that I feel like I can't afford it.
Oh, yes, you can. Before we got into RV life, I always wanted to travel more. So I found travel hacking is what a lot of people call it. And what you do is you sign up, like, let's say Delta Amex has a big bonus. Say they're offering 70,000 miles to sign up for their credit card. And then if you get approved, you have to spend $3,000 in like 3 months. And you think, oh my God, I couldn't never spend that. I can spend it, and I don't hardly spend money because you just charge everything on the credit card, your gas, your medical bill, your phone, groceries, everything. And then you pay it off at the end of the month.
Right.
Then you get the 70,000 points. Well, 70,000 points is enough to fly, if you get in on the right date, nobody quote me on this, 2 people to Central America round trip. And all you have to do is pay taxes and fees. So it'll be like $100-something. So you didn't pay anything because you paid off your credit card every month. You didn't pay interest, but you're earning those points. So there's all kind of other bloggers out there who really talk more about points that I get into, and I touch on it a little bit on our page. But just we save credit card points, and we charge everything and pay it off every month. And so when we got the RV repair, I was like, oh, but just think of the points. And try to put a positive spin on it. But we use points. We also, I'm a member of Scott's Cheap Flights. It's a $50 for a premium membership, and you list the airports that you are interested in flying out of, and then every time there's a deal out of there, they send you an email. So we got tickets from Knoxville to Munich in Germany. For both of us with travel insurance was like $650 because of that notice I got from Scott's Cheap Flights. For 2 of us to fly for $650, I probably couldn't fly to you in Florida right now, both of us, for that. So,
right. Yeah.
finding the cheap deals and so that we can fly for free. A lot of the apps that I use also enable us to earn hotels.com gift cards. If they don't pay me to PayPal, I get hotels.com gift cards, and then those are usually a little bit less expensive. They're smaller type hotels than the big chains, and so they're a little less, and then I can use the gift cards that I earned on the apps. And I also have hotel points. With points, I took my daughter when she graduated from high school. We flew to Paris and stayed 2 weeks, and the airline and all, well, it was 9 days, I think 9 or 10 days was covered by hotel points. We've flown to Mexico. We stayed 6 weeks in Southeast Asia, and I would say a fourth of those nights were covered by hotel points. We will stay at hostels.
Right.
A hostel seems big sometimes after you've lived in an RV. That's the other thing is
Seriously.
When I get into a hotel room now, it feels like a luxurious suite.
Anything with a tub is like, wow.
Right? There's all the room. You get used to the space, and even the hotel room is like, man, this hotel room is big as our RV. So,
right.
Yeah, hotel points and the Scotch cheap flights. I mean, they just tell you when the cheap flights is a good investment. I don't get anything from plugging that either. It's a good $50 investment if you're wanting to travel overseas and find cheap flights. Even out of little Knoxville, Tennessee airport, which is our hometown, which is not even a regional airport, I found a cheap ticket. So if you live near a big airport, you can do even better.
I love that. So Kathy says, how are you getting hotel points when you live in an RV?
Well, because you get points for anything that you buy. So, like, let's say, for example, there's the Hilton American Express card. When you sign up, you get 100,000 points, I think was the recent offer. I think it's spend $1,000 in 3 months and you get 100,000 points. That's enough for like 3 or 4 hotel nights right there. If you're charging, we spent a lot of money on gas, like I talked about. We spent $340 in the last week on gas, so I think they do 3 times points at gas stations, so that's almost 1,000 points. So you get points for anything that you buy on the credit card, not just the points that you get for staying at the hotel.
So you're also using the credit card.
Yes, I use the credit card.
So you're getting credit card points. And then you mentioned not getting paid with hotels.com cards. That's through like money-making apps, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And we also, like I said, hostels and Airbnb. I don't know if you guys use Airbnb, but we found, I think that's where you found your RV rental. But you can find, good, inexpensive accommodations, I feel like, on Airbnb. I think you just have to start thinking out of the box. I think we're all just, as Americans, trained that, you just go to the chain hotel and, we don't really think about the other alternatives.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of thinking outside the box, which of course RVing is. So the more, flexible you become, the more options open up. I definitely know that for sure. And that's how I got into RVing. Melissa said that we were buying a house and the deal fell through. And Ed made a joke about, and everyone in Alabama lives in a camper. And I said, well, I'm a dignified woman. I could never. Yeah, me saying that. But secretly in my head, I said, well, I love to save money. And I hate cleaning. And maybe that would be a good option. So I got on Airbnb.com. And I was leaving to head to Alabama from New York a day early. Because I had the child. And I said, I wonder if there's like a travel trailer for rent or something where I'd never been inside an RV before. I'd never been in one. So I had no like sense of direction for it. And I found one. It was, $25 or $30 a night. I was like, boom, that's for me. I'm not having to spend $100 on a hotel room. And I booked it, and it was a really old, like probably 70s or 80s travel trailer, and I just had so much fun talking to the owner, and it was just I was like, oh, this is for me. And yeah, so when you just think outside the box, you never know what's going to happen, because that was almost 3 years ago next week, so it's crazy.
I really believe there's a solution for every problem, and when there's a will, there's a way. So if you want something bad enough, you will figure out how to make it happen, whether it's live in an RV or not, go back to work, hopefully, crossing my fingers, traveling overseas. There's so much information out there now. Anything that you want to learn or know, you can find it online. And I think people just go for it. I think at least for me, I was just kind of stuck in this rut, and it was so routine. And, I just did what I thought I was supposed to do, get a job and a house and a family. But, you can really travel full time if that's what you want to do. It's really possible.
Yeah, it's so wild to me. Like I said, I've been following you for a couple years. And it just seems like every time I feel like, oh gosh, we're running out of money, or, whatever, one of your Facebook posts pops up and I'm like, oh yeah, this lady does it, no problem. I'm sure you have your own problems, but, like, if she's living off this much, I can handle my 4K, I just need to relax or whatever. Kathy has one last question. She says, so I assume you split your bills between airline and hotel credit cards, or are they all airline?
I have probably 10 or 12 airline and hotel credit cards, believe it or not. And I'll throw this in. I've had a bankruptcy in my past, and so I didn't have the best credit. And using these credit cards and paying it off every month, my score is in the 800s. So it will not hurt your credit if you pay it off every month. But I'm always usually working towards a spend. Like I've signed up for a new one, so I'm putting all of it on that one to get the bonus. It's all about signing up and getting the big bonus. So I'm usually working on a spend. If not, it really depends. Some places offer extra points at gas stations, some at retail stores. So I kind of just know in my head, okay, we're at a gas station, so we need to use this credit card because it's going to give me more points. So I just kind of split it. Or if I know, like, I need another 1,000 miles, so I have enough miles to fly to Greece, say on Delta, I'm saying put everything on Delta. So it really just depends on what my future plans are, and if they're offering a deal. Sometimes it'll be like, we'll give you an extra 1,000 points if you spend $250 this month or something like that. So I'll try to put it on that one. So it's kind of across the board. I can't really pinpoint which one. It just depends on what I got coming up.
Right. And I do want a disclaimer. This is quite an advanced strategy. And you
Yes.
you don't want to get into travel hacking, credit card hacking if you can't pay the bill off. Because that's why they want you to spend the money, right? Because they want you to pay the interest.
Exactly.
It's not really hacking if you're paying interest.
Yeah. We have the app on our phone, and as soon as I make the expense, I go and pay for it. Because otherwise, you get down to the end of the month, it's like $1,000. So I kind of just treat it like a debit card. So, we bought gas, so we're driving out. I just go and go ahead and pay it from our, savings and checking. So I'm not surprised at the end of the month. So there's no, how are we going to pay this off? We never pay the interest.
Yep. Johnny says the trick is paying them off every month and only spend what you're spending anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. It's definitely
it's not I don't treat it like credit. I'm not buying it and hoping to pay for it in the future, I guess. I'm using it more like a debit card.
Right. Yeah, so that is more of an advanced strategy. You really have to check how much is in the debit. So if I swipe it on my card, like she said, immediately just go right into that credit account and pay that charge. And, Yep, Mike says pay as you charge it.
Yes.
Johnny says Dave Ramsey would not be happy listener right now.
Well, Dave Ramsey's not getting to fly for free.
I said, well, Dave Ramsey doesn't watch this show. Although I do know people that know him personally. So maybe one day if he ever wants to get into RVing. Although I know he doesn't like RVs because of the financial, they first of all they depreciate like crazy, and the loans are normally not good, like people get screwed normally. Right. So he's not pro RV. I do know that. Sandra says our card auto pays the full balance every month. That's smart.
Nice.
So that's smart. Anyway, I don't think I saw any other questions. Sorry, guys. If you do have one more question, or if I skipped it, say it now or forever hold your peace. Oh, and I did want to mention congratulations to Melissa, who just started driving her RV and dumping the tanks. Let's give her a round of applause, you guys. Congrats. Congrats.
It took 3 years.
Hey. I don't dump the tanks, and I wrote a book about it. Heidi, Heidi did have a pretty good question. What do you do for health care, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay. No, I don't. I'm an oversharer.
Me too.
I am on the marketplace, the healthcare marketplace. Some people call it Obamacare, but I think that's not what it's called. It's the healthcare marketplace or the exchange. And I actually was on there before I ever got in the RV life because the nonprofit that I managed, we didn't have enough money to pay for health insurance. So as my employer didn't provide it, that was the only way I could get health insurance is when the marketplace come along. And I paid a pretty decent price for it when I had a job. But now that we're self-selected poor, it doesn't cost as much and we can afford it. So we get it from the marketplace. And then because I have health issues, our deductible is $3,000 a month. So I always make sure that we have $3,000 in the budget every year to meet the deductible because health expenses is one of our bigger expenses.
It's a month or a year?
My deductible is $3,000 a year.
Okay, you said a month. I was like, whoa.
Oh, I'm
sorry. I was like, this lady's been talking about being frugal. No wonder.
No. We pay a monthly fee.
Okay.
But it's based on your income and your assets and what even state you live in. So no matter what I said, it wouldn't probably be applicable to anyone else. But it's not that much.
Right. We did have one more question. Mike is asking, all the earnings you get on those little apps and things like that, what about taxes? How does that work?
Well, I track it all because I want to kind of know my efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an accountant, so, there's my disclaimer. I believe that if you make $600 or more, the company is required to send you tax information.
Correct.
However, you are still required to claim taxes on all income. So I just claim it as all my income. But I also then get an expense from my computer. I had to buy a new computer, because I need that to make my pennies. So I treat it kind of like a business. And so I do claim it. Last year I claimed, I think, $3,600 from apps and penny pinching stuff.
That's awesome. Hope that answers your question, Mike. And yeah, that is true with most companies. Even we do, giveaways for Full-Time Freedom Week. I remember the first year we actually gave away a free RV rental vacation. And the RV had to be under $600, so I didn't have to pay taxes on it. So it was like a little disclaimer there, like must not be, cost more than $600, because neither the company nor me and my partners wanted to pay the taxes on it.
Right.
So awesome. Mike says, really good topic this evening. Melissa, thank you so much for coming on. I had a lot of fun. Everyone in the comments says congrats on the driving and the tanks.
Oh, thank you.
You're a rock star. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you, you have to hang up for me.
I do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Liz.
Bye, guys. Oh, well, I figured out how to hang up for her. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. You can find Melissa on Facebook is where she mostly hangs out. She's got a really big following there, the Penny Pinching Globetrotter, and she just launched her blog. I'm super excited to see her grow. I wrote a guest post for her all about how I got into RV life. She wrote a guest post for me about those frugal fails. It's pretty funny. You can check it out. Anyway, next week we are talking to Kimberly from RV Tailgate Life. Like I said, I wanted this show to be more fun topics. So we're going to talk about tailgating and all that just in time for football season. So if you're into that, check it out. Thank you guys so much. Kathy, you're the best. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Belinda. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.